The concept of governance, of course, we all started from the British means if you want to go back so back. The Government of India 1935 Act, you know, it constituted like federal powers actually. It was a federation of the state. In any case, the British supremacy, nobody challenged that time. They were only giving some powers. But later on in 1947, 1950, when we came up with our constitution, it became like a little bit center became an important. Since center and states everywhere Congress party was there, the governance was not an issue. All the problems were sorted out in the internal party meetings. But later, as other parties started coming in India, and they are now dominating, if you observed that Congress doesn't have anymore so many seats. So actually, BJP now has come in as a national party, like that is how it is happening. So one way the country is very diverse. So there's lots of political parties, and the people are also different. See, so many languages, so many different food habits. So each, but the common thread is there. As an Indian, common thread is there, and of course in the religious sense also the common, everybody goes and worships this, many multiple gods, and everybody accepts other people's gods also. So that way is there, but I think the governance since then gradually is getting, I feel, the information technology is helping, the e-governance is helping, and general literacy in the country is helping. So people are able to ask questions. So even though problems have not been solved, it has come to a state where the problems are getting identified and somebody is saying something about it. That itself is good. Like child marriage, you would have accepted that in 1960 without any argument. But right now, Karnataka is thinking of coming up with an act. If you attend a child marriage itself, it is an offense. So it's a great, I would say, it is a good progress in the right direction. I think PAC has done fantastic work. I would say, they are highly dedicated people, and because the study can be done by anybody, but what is crucial is who are the people who do it. It has to be an independent organization of a credibility that counts. The data and all the methodology, always you will have something to say. Everybody will say something, because somebody will say 67 is too many, or you can have too few. Yes, but what happens is it's a complex phenomenon in terms of understanding governance across the states. So a beginning has been done. They have identified many right parameters, and depending on the data availability, automatically we shift there, otherwise you won't do the study. So I think it is a fantastic beginning. I would what do is supplement that with certain, the way they have done panel discussions with across people, maybe with civil society, more opinion makers, and try to give some marks for that, some marks for this, and then on an average then say, okay, this is the state rank and so on. And even if they don't give the rank, maybe they can categorize the state into 3 categories. Though, like very great states, somewhere intermediate, and then need improvement kind of states. So that otherwise there may be a bias when you say 1, 2 and all. We are not so accurate in our parameters. No, they are, I think they take it, but of course the government, the political parties, etc. are, you know how the country is functioning, where the primary reason seems to be money making, and whether it is elections and so on. So now like Bangalore, they say there's 5,000 crores was spent last year in Bangalore for development works. I ask people, where have you noticed anything near your house? I have yet to find one person who says, yes, they have done a lot of work near our house. This is of course an anecdotal kind of an evidence, but we have not done any big survey. But the fact remains that a lot of pending bills, the work doesn't happen. So any study which says that I have spent a lot of money then has to be supplemented to see whether the citizens like it. So it's not easy to do these kind of studies, and what happens is that is how the elections unpredictable results start coming. But I think a beginning is done, and that is what I am happy about. Yeah, see, Delhi naturally is the seat of the central government, so receives a lot of money. You might have seen the roads in Delhi with the service roads and all that. No other city has it. Of course, it was planned during the British time only. That New Delhi part remained the great. Delhi part not remained great. See, Delhi was the cleanest city. New Delhi was the cleanest city in India, and Delhi was somewhere, I don't remember the rank, but definitely not maybe about 50, 60, some other rank they got. So the point is they have that problem, but the idea is being a big cosmopolitan city, the cases are registered, and because the cases are registered, you feel there is a lot of crime. There are many places where the cases never get registered. So there are many such states where cases are not registered. Then you will think that okay, they are not registering the cases, so there is less crime, which is not correct. So that is why with the indicators the perceptions can change. So I think the one has to make some small corrections depending on have we got it right, particularly if you get some state very high in the rank or very low in the rank, maybe there is a need to use some expert judgment and so on. Yeah, see, that's what. For example, Kerala is at a very high level, highly literate people. In fact, the students went on strike saying the teacher is not coming to school. And our unfortunate situation is the government teachers are paid much more than the private teachers, but they don't teach because the management is what is the problem in government schools. The teachers are better qualified, better recruited, but then once the culture is there, once the management is there, nobody wants to teach. And unfortunately, our children are suffering. But then the Kerala people are supervising them because of the literacy and so on. So I think that's crucial. In my opinion, if you think about it, the women should be given the first right of owning the property. Automatically, the crime against women will go down. That means, the whatever property you have, all belongs to women. Only if you marry that lady and that person goes to that house like that, then their power will increase, and once their power increases, the atrocities against them also will go down. I think that study pointed out, Samuel Paul's fantastic study, that pointed out that in the earlier years there were a lot of job opportunities there, and the people from south used to go that side, and also a little bit instability was there in Tamil Nadu, where they didn't like Hindi, and some of the communities in their own state also were kind of expelled. They also moved out, and all kinds of reasons came up. But now what has happened is the democracy is working better in the south. Mainly you think of the black money only. You want to buy, people feel that my flat is appreciating in every city, including Bangalore. You try to sell it, you don't get anybody. And if you really want to sell it, then you will come to a point where that person will say, I will give you 40% in black. You don't have and never dealt with the black money. How do you manage this black money? Who will count that money in the first place? Because you are never used to this kind of work. But it is 40% black here in Bangalore. It can be 80% black in Lucknow, 80%. So those cities are still a long way to do, and because of that, what happens is, rule of law is crucial. Rule of law, where all the person who does wrong should be punished, is the most important point. So if that happens, everything is fine. So I think in that way, the southern states are far better, including the smaller states. All of them are good this side. I think this panel discussion was organized quite well, and every panel discussion, I think Dr. Matthew gave an excellent presentation and brilliantly indicated all the indicators and all that. But I think it was quite well managed. I would, I would not think, of course, somebody pointed out half an hour late and all, I would not really, make so much of it. It's true that if we start on time, it's nice. But usually we don't start on time. The speakers also never speak within their allotted time. Everywhere these issues are there. But I think as long as the heart is good, the mind is good, and there is a willingness to solve problems, which I found is there in both PSC as well as National Law School,